Okay, in this part 3 of the Unit 6 test review, we are going to be looking at primarily at the distributive property. This first one says, which expression is equivalent to 4x times 3x plus 2? So again, that just means for us to work this one out, where we have to multiply this binomial 3x plus 2 times this binomial 4x. To do so, we're going to use the distributive property where we multiply 4x times both terms inside the parentheses. So we have 4x times 3x, and then we have 4x times 2. Remember, when you multiply an x times an x, you add the exponents. You don't see one written, but it is 1, x to the 1, and x to the 1. So 4x times 3x is going to be 12x squared. And then when we multiply 4x times 2, that's just 8x. So plus 8x. And you see your answer there is D. All right, this next one. What is the area of the rectangle pictured below? Okay, so let's first of all remember that area means length times width, or base times height. But basically what we have to do is multiply these two terms, 2x plus 3 times x plus 8. Let me go ahead and write that out. So 2x plus 3 times x plus 3. All right, so to do this, we're going to multiply the first term, 2x, times the first term in the second binomial. Then we're going to multiply 2x times the second term in the binomial. So when we start with that, when we do 2x times 1x, we get 2x squared. Then when we multiply 2x times 3, that is 6x, so plus 6x. Then we come here to the second term of the first expression, binomial. We do 3 times the first term of the second one, 3 times x. Well, that's 3x. Then we do 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9, so plus 9. Then what we end up with here is these two terms in the middle are like terms because they have the same variable and exponent. 6x to the 1 power and 3x to the 1 power. Well, 6x plus 3x is 9x. So once we write our final answer, we're going to have 2x squared, then plus the like terms, which is 9x, and then the last constant term was 9 plus 9. So 2x squared plus 9x plus 9 would actually represent the area of this rectangle. All right, question number 13, the review. Which of the following expressions are equivalent to 3x plus 8 times x minus 6? Again, we have this binomial times a binomial, and when we work that out, we're going to get one of these answers. Okay, so let's work it out. So 3x plus 8 times x minus 6. Let me go ahead and rewrite that here. So 3x plus 8 is the first term times x minus 6. Okay, so we can use our distributive property again, where we multiply the first term, 3x, times both terms in the second expression. When we do that, 3x times x is 3x squared. And then 3x times negative 6 is negative 18, or minus 18x. All right, then we're going to go to the the second term in the first expression, the 8, and multiply it times both of these terms in the second expression. So 8 times x is 8x, so plus 8x. Then we have 8 times negative 6, and 8 times negative 6 is minus 48. Then we end up with these like terms in the middle. They have the same base and the same exponent, but we have a minus 18x plus 8x, and that's going to be a minus 10x. So our final answer is going to include the 3x squared, then the minus 10x, and then minus 48. And you'll see that answer is A. All right, this question number 14 says, again, which expression is equivalent to? Now this one, we have a binomial times a trinomial. That means we have two terms times three terms. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to, again, take the first term of the binomial and multiply it times all three terms of the trinomial. Then we're going to come back to the second term, the 5, and multiply it by all three terms. Then we're going to combine all our like terms to determine which one is the answer. Okay, so I'm going to start with the x cubed times x squared. Remember, when we do that, we have to add our exponents. So x to the third times x squared is going to be x to the fifth. Then we have an x cubed times 6x. Well, this is just a 1. This is a 1, by the way, in front of this x. So 1 times 6 is 6. That's going to be 6x. And our exponent is going to be 4. Then we have our x to the third times the last term, which is 9. So that's plus 9x cubed. All right, now we're going to go to the 5, and we're going to multiply 5 times all of these terms. 5 times x squared is 5x squared. Then we have 5 times 6x, which is 30x. And then finally, we have 5 times 9, which is 45. So plus 45, okay? All right, got a lot going on here, but what we're looking for is any like bases and like exponents. But you'll notice that we actually don't have any. We have an x to the fifth, x to the fourth, x to the third, x squared, x to the 1, and then our constant. So we do not have any terms here that can be combined. So this would be your final answer. All right, and then number 15, this will be the last one of the part 3. Review, determine the product of 3x minus 6 times 4x plus 7. Okay, now, product means the answer to a multiplication problem. So we're going to multiply these two to determine which answer is correct. That's basically what it's asking us to do, is to multiply. So we have 3x minus 6 times 4x plus 7. Again, we're just going to use the distributive property, multiplying this binomial times a binomial. I'm going to start at the front, or with 3x times 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. When you multiply x times x, you add the exponents, and we get x squared. Then I'm going to multiply 3x times 7, and that is 21, so plus 21x. All right, then I'm going to go to this second term in the first expression, which is minus negative 6, and I'm going to multiply that times 4x. Well, 6 times 4 is 24, but that's a negative, so minus 24x. And then on the outside, negative 6 times 7, that's minus 42. We end up with these like terms in the middle. We have a 21x minus 24x. That's going to give us negative 3. So we're going to end up with 12x squared. And then our combined like term is minus 3x. And then finally, our last term is minus 42. So you can see your correct answer here. All right, and that will be the end of part 3.